a little bit early on this one.
We're good. We're going.
Okay. All right. So let me just start again. Oh, there's your slide. So weird. So we are starting a new session. Those of you that were in our last session, you can stay. If you want to leave at this point, that's super fine. I think that the folks that are helping me out today will be putting the link to the slide deck. There's also a Q&A. If you have any questions, you can drop those in the Q&A. You can also add the any questions you have to the chat. So those are options that you have. So real quickly, I'm going to introduce myself. I am the LIT at Westview High School, and I do library instructional technology teacher stuffs. I also have with me today Rebecca Larson, Suzanne P, Jim, and I think the Canvas Tosa Chris is out there too. So if they all want to introduce themselves.
Oh, hi, I'm Suzanne Perrenboom, sorry. And I'm the lit at Five Oaks and Rachel Carson.
Hi, I'm Rebecca. I am a teacher at Sunset High School and a Canvas facilitator.
And I'm Jim. I teach a couple subjects at Meadow Park, and I'm the Canvas facilitator there.
Sorry. No. Is Chris still here?
Yes, I am still here.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
No, probably nobody wants to hear from me today. So anyways, no, my name is Chris, and I'm the TOSA. I work with Future Ready team, and my job is to support Canvas for our district. So thanks for being here, friends.
Awesome. So
I did pop the links for the slide deck and for the question and answer document into the chat. And it looks like Chris put in the teacher source link for your check-in.
Super. Okay, so just what we're going to try to cover in this session in 30 minutes or less, which is kind of a tough challenge, but we'll try to be up to it, is how to do best practices with comprehensive distance learning, connect, engage, teach, check in, and respond with our students. Just some basic Canvas terminology. Each Canvas course that will be populated in your course or in your Canvas should have a tile. Super awesome right now. Courses that are not published have a big button on the front of that title that says publish, so you know exactly which courses have been published or have not been published. You do want to publish those courses because if you don't, then students can't see anything that you've done. Modules are a super great way to organize content, and we'll show why that is effective and great. Content is all the other stuff that is links on the side of Canvas, so discussions, quizzes, pages, assignments, etc. And the rich content editor is super important. Everything you build in Canvas and everything that the students uses that rich content editor, so it's available in discussions, quizzes, pages, and it has a lot of useful tools. In case you want to work on your course while you are watching this, here's a nifty trick. You can either hover over this little green icon in your browser, any browser that you're in, or you can click on window at the top of your screen, and it should allow you to do tile window to the left or the right, and then both of those would be active. You can also drag and drop that tiling to make it bigger or smaller. It does not work, I do not think, if you're not up to Catalina. That's what my husband told me this morning. So real quickly, we are going to jump into a course. This is a course that I have created. It was a template that did not make the cut. Obviously, it had some issues. But just to kind of give you a little bit of the rationale for why the home pages were set up this way. Each of the homepage templates that you do receive have buttons down here. The reason for that is because these links on the side are not visible in the phone app. So a lot of the parents access their students' content using their phones, and they can't do so because they can't get to any of these links. So having those same links replicated on the bottom it's really helpful and something that the parents had requested in order to help and facilitate their students' learning. So once you get into modules, this is what the module view looks like. You can do a whole bunch of things in modules, and a whole bunch of things includes embedding. So I'm just going to create a quick module to show you what that looks like. You can do that by clicking this blue button that has a plus. A lot of Canvas stuff is a plus with a blue button. I'm just going to, I do not name things, funny. So I'm just going to call it a PD module. A couple things about modules just to go over again is you can lock them until particular times. So if you don't want students to have access to this module until Friday, you can set that there. You can also set different modules to be prerequisites for this module. So if you want them to complete certain information or content prior to completing this module, you can do that and it will be locked out for them. You can also remove those. It looks like I didn't do anything, and that's because every time you add a module, it adds it to the bottom. So here's my module down here. Now what do? You have two options. You can either drag and drop this and it just kind of scoots up, or you can select the 3 jelly beans and move module, and then the first option right there is at the top. It does give you different options there as well. So now I'm at the top of the screen and I have this header bar. One thing to note is that unless students go to the module button on the side, they never see these words PD module. So if they're only accessing the content through the calendar, they might go directly into an assignment and they might not have that information. Again, these 3 buttons here indicate whether or not students can see it. So as long as there's a circle with a line through it, that means students cannot see that content. If you click it, it'll change to a green check mark. That means students can. You can then add things to your module by clicking this plus button. And we are just going to add a page to see what kind of stuff we can put in it. You always have the ability to access previously created pages. So these are some obviously weird pages I've dumped into this course. But you can also add as many pages as you'd like. So I just added a page called kittens, and now what do? One of the things just to note about modules is you can create as many items in a module. And again, when you're thinking about that, thinking about ways that you, as you're walking through your lesson for the week or for the unit, how to engage those students, how to connect with them, what you're going to teach, and those elements that were on the slide deck. So you can just think about each one of those things as you're creating that module. But then in order to add that content, you just need to click on it, on the title, and select edit. Now, those of you that were with us for the discussion portion, this looks very similar to the discussion. The only difference is that there's not the grade aspect on the bottom, but you can see it's the same rich content editor. And there's a whole bunch of things that you can add into this rich content editor to make your lessons more entertaining and exciting. So for example, you can embed an image. You can get those images. So if you go to Google, you can pull out an image if you have that link from anywhere online. You can pull them from Canvas. So it's really good if you want to have the most solid experience to put them in your course files. And then you can click on those. This indicates the dimensions of that. And if you say update, that image will be in your content editor. So you can add as many images as you want. The really great thing about images is they move with the page. So you can embed tables. And this home page there is an example of a table on it. So this is an image. This is a table. The thing that is kind of unfortunate about tables is as you move, it changes the dimensions of the tables. And so sometimes images pop out. They can get a little crazy. So limited use of tables is probably pretty nice, but you can add background colors. You can use that to sort content. You can put images in your tables, etc. You can also embed YouTube. So there's two ways that you can do that. One, you can search for content in YouTube, and you can embed those videos in different sizes. If you have an untitled YouTube channel, this won't work. So what you can do if you're trying to share your content from your course, you can open up your YouTube video, and then down below there's a button that says share. So there's two ways before I, well, I'll just continue on. So this is the scarier way. The easy way to embed content is use these buttons to just kind of add content. The slightly scary, and it's not too bad, I hope, is to click this share button. Most sites have a share button. And when you click on that share button, it gives you a whole bunch of options. How do you want to share this? And the first one is generally embed. And so when you click on embed, it gives you an example of the video, and then it gives you all this craziness right here. And so, and options to do, like, do you want to show player controls? Do you want to have advanced mode, etc.? So if you just copy all this craziness, you don't have to read it. You can just copy it. And then here's the fun part in Canvas. There's a button up here called the HTML editor. Before I go to that HTML editor, I'm just going to show you a quick trick. So right here, I'm going to put X's. And the reason for that is HTML looks crazy. So now what is this that I'm reading? Oh, I don't know. You don't need to know. If you find those X's, you can put that content at the end of any of those X's. And then if you toggle back to the rich content editor, you can see that there was my video, there's my X's, and there is my YouTube video right below. You can do that as many times as you want. And one of the nice things about the YouTube is you have different embed options. So it will allow you to change the size, and it's not letting me scroll down for a lot of that. But it'll let you do different actions in the way that you're embedding it.
So you have more control if you do the embed versus the little button. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, more or less. And the great thing about YouTube, so sometimes last year, just to note why the district is asking you to put your videos on YouTube. So for those of you that don't know, and this is my rationale, nobody's told me this, but from my research, Google owns YouTube. And so Google Drive is not meant to be a video streaming service. If there's millions of people streaming, you know, the latest TikTok video or something on Google Drive, then it would crash the system. And so they prefer you upload all those videos to YouTube. So what they have done is they've created an algorithm, and it's not perfect and they don't release it, but it's something like if you have a 2-minute video and you have 45 kids watch it in one day, the first 40 will be able to view that video, and the last 5 will get an error message that says the video is unavailable or it's broken. If they try again in 24 hours, it'll work. So they'll be like, what happened? It's not magical. It's they have an algorithm and they shut the video off. So if you want to make sure that that video can be viewed by as many students as you want, putting it in YouTube is better. In addition, YouTube has different options, especially for our students, where they can change the quality of the video. So what was really great, I took a course this summer and I had to watch 2-hour-long lectures. And what I really wanted was this button right here that could speed it up ×2 so that some of it I didn't have to hear and some of it I could hear. Not to say that that's what your students would want to do, but it also has subtitles. So they can have subtitles as an option, which would have been really helpful for me because I was taking a math course and that was really hard for me to understand. So if I had seen those words, it would have been great. They can also take down the quality. So if they don't have a lot of streaming or their internet is having an issue, they can change that setting. And then it actually stays. So the videos will come through on a lower setting and it has closed captioning. So there's some really great things in YouTube that will allow students to have more accessibility to your videos. I'm going to pause there and just see if there's any questions.
Christina, can you explain again why you would choose to embed with that share function from YouTube with the embed code versus just linking the YouTube?
So what we found for some people is if this is a video that I have unlisted, so the suggestion of the district this year is that you have a YouTube channel and that you upload some of your lessons in an unlisted format in case there's student voices, etc. in the background. But if you do that, I can show you, like for example, if I take this URL and I search for it in this YouTube function, watch it works this time. But sometimes if you search for that video, it will have 0 results. So then you can't share that content. So then you need to find some way that you can do that. And the other way is to share it with the embed code. And it's not too scary, I hope. So some other things that you can add, there's a button right here. So there's all of these different resources. So Khan Academy has a bunch of videos. There's Learn 360, public resources, College Board. You can add absolutely anything from Google. So I'm going to show you that real quick. Most likely it will ask you to authorize the first time. And then you can search your entire Google Drive. And when you do, on the bottom, it will ask you if you want to embed it or link it. So if you select embed, it will put your entire slide deck right there. So the one thing to note about this is if you embed Google slide decks, they do not show up for parents, so they won't be able to view them. Most likely, sometimes they can. But it's just one of those things to note that as you are adding different things, parents may or may not be able to see that. Additionally, just about everything, including Google Slide Decks, has an embed code. So for example, right over here, if I say I really want to share this slide deck, I can click on Publish to the Web. And look, it says embed. Again, I don't want to look at any of this stuff. And it gives you different options, like how do I want to see it, etc. All I need to do is copy this and then come back over here, click on I'm going to do my X's again so I can find it. So there's my X's. I'm going to put it right above that. So HTML editor, where are my X's? There they are. And then I just paste it in there. I toggle back over to see what it looks like. And right below there is going to be that slide deck. So there's another one. So you can do that with Google Docs. You can do that with lots of other things. For example, you can do that with Padlet. So Padlet.
Before
also,
you move on,
yeah,
sorry, my computer screen went to sleep for a second. Can you show me where you found that button in your slides when you were in Google Slides?
Sure.
Thank you.
So under, if my screen ever, come on. You know how like at a certain part of the day, your computer just like decides to go to sleep? Okay, there we go. Come on. You can do this. We got this, right? Come on, computer. So it's under File and then Publish to the Web. So File, Publish to the Web. And that does not mean that people get to see it. So you don't have to worry. They need the link. So you can either have the link, you can share using all these different services, or you can see embed. And then you can also select this. I have an example that I can show you in a second. You can start the slideshow as soon as the player loads. And then you can have the slides auto advance. Sometimes that's obnoxious, but you can do it kind of like a reader board. So if you want them to see a whole bunch of stuff, and then you can have it restart after the first slide. So when you're clicking all of that, it's adding content to this code down below. So you don't need to know how to write HTML code. it just adds it for you. And then if you come back over here and you click on HTML editor, I want to know where it's going to go. So I'm going to do for my X's, and I'll put some X's after it. You can always type in there. So words and stuff, it's fine. They'll just show up. And now that slide deck will show up right here. And in 30 seconds, it will actually advance the slide. I should have made it quicker so you could see, but I can show you an example. So if all I need to do is just hit save, and then you can see all of that content. I was going to show you real quickly that, for example, Padlet has the same deal. So Padlet has embed this in your Blogger website, same kind of code. They even have a copy button. And then you just copy that into that HTML editor. So again, the only things that I found that do not work that way are Google Sites, because Google has blocked Google Sites from being embedded into anything else. So you, for example, cannot embed a Google site into a Wix or into a Weebly or any place. It's not just Canvas, it's any place. The other thing that it doesn't work so well with is Google Forms, but that doesn't mean you can't embed them. It just means that there's like an integration. And so Google Forms, if this one comes up, has the same thing where you can, under the share button, there is a way to share it, and it will give you an option to either have the link to email it or embed it, because that apparently is not showing anything. I can just show you some resources. So for Westview High School, this is our library website. So this is an embedded slideshow. You'll notice that there's black lines on the top and the bottom. You can't take those out. So as they move the screen, the black lines get bigger. If anybody figures out the code for that, that's awesome. I would love to know it. I've tried to change it, but I cannot figure it out. But you can do a whole bunch of cool stuff. So for example, these are some slide decks that I came across, and this guy made some really cool ones where it shows you how to use Google Docs. So you can click on any of these and there's GIFs embedded about how to do various things in Google Docs. And students also have the access, and it's right on the side, to open those in a new window. And so they can open them in a new window and they don't just have to watch them here. So they can do that. You can also embed an entire Google Drive folder. So there's options for embedding where you can have the folder be shown as little icons like this, or as the titles of the documents. In this case, this is a Google Drive folder. I always have the link to the Google Drive folder, and it will also show any folders that are inside that Google Drive folder. So if I click on it, it'll open it up into a new tab, but they have access to that Google Drive if they need it. Let's see, over here we also have, at Westview, we did a live graduation, so my live feed was embedded and parents could watch from our website page. And we also embedded our acknowledged Twitter feeds, so you can embed Twitter. The reason that we did that is we wanted students to recognize which Twitter accounts were actually legitimate, and so that they weren't joining Twitter feeds that were hacked sites. This is an example of a slideshow that is obviously self-populating and so that's what it looks like if it's a header bar. And there's also ways that you can take this part off the bottom. And I'll show you down here, you can also embed, for example, Blogger. So I don't know why Google lets you embed Blogger and all of their Google Docs, but not so much Google Sites. See if this form is up yet. Nope, sorry about that.
Christina, just one thing to note about the forms. If you're going to use Google Forms in your Canvas page, like if you're going to use them for a quiz or something, SpeedGrader doesn't recognize your answers from Google Forms. To see the results of your Google form, you still have to go to the Google form results. So just be aware that those results are not going to be in SpeedGrader. They're not going to be in Canvas. Those results are just in Google Forms.
Right. So we are at 3:30, and so I want to honor your time. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them, and I'm willing to hang out, but that's the how to embed a whole bunch of stuffs, and hopefully I didn't go too fast or crazy. And thank you for coming, and thanks for my facilitators and helpers and the people in the chat. That really, really makes a difference for sessions like these.
Thank you guys so much.
So does anybody have any questions that they want me to answer or show?
Yeah, Christina, this is Janet from Meadow, and you said that we can embed all types of Google, but the parents won't be able to see a Google slide. Is that what you were saying?
So in the parent app, it depends upon how you embed it. So usually if you saw when I was bringing up this page, it asks you to authorize the Google app, which means that you're logging in and there's a way that that login happens in Canvas, but parents are not logged in with their Google in Canvas. And I think Chris is answering. So do you want to talk, Chris?
No, I was just going to say, I mean, I just put it there that for us as teachers, we can embed Google into our Canvas because, like Christina said, it's connected to our Google Drive. Our students can authorize because they're inside of Beaverton. Our parents won't be able to see it. So you can always just put a link there. Hey, parents, if you want to take a look at it, here's the link. And then just make sure that you've opened the permissions so that parents can view outside of the district. And you're fine. I think that's just great to still embed and then just have a link for them to click on.
And my question about that is, if you're using the LTI, in other words, the little drop-down arrow that's in that rich content editor, I know that's true, but if you do the publish to the website and you embed it that way, can I see it?
I think if you went ahead and you just published to the site and copy the HTML, you'd be just fine. It's just when you do that, you know, the embed from your Google Drive, that's where it blocks from parent. Like when you do it this way, that's where parents won't be able to see it. But if you just copy the link or HTML, like you just mentioned, they'll be just fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking, because I used to have an agenda that I used a Google slide, but I think I did it that other way. So is that true for all Google stuff? Because I was listening, but I'm not sure.
Right. So as long as you're using this one, then parents won't be able to see it. If you use the one that is associated with Google, so there is, my Google is hanging up, so I apologize. I can't give you an example. But just like on that slide deck that I showed you, where you could just do the publish. So in Google Docs, it has the same thing under file. You can publish that to the web. It'll give you the HTML code so you can, in any event, publish it to the web, and then you would be able to show that. And so that's available on Google Documents as well. I think spreadsheets are a little different. They're a little funkier. And Google Forms, this form just will not come up. I apologize so much. But it does have a share button on the top, and then it has that embed code as well.
All right, thank you.
Are there any questions, other questions out there that I can help with?
Yes, Brandy. If you embed a Google slide and then you make edits to it, it will update in Canvas because it's a live connection.
That's what makes it super awesome. And kids, they can either click on the screen or they can click on the buttons, and then they can also use the toolbar to go through everything.
And even if you publish to the web and then embed or use that link from publishing to the web, it still is live. So any updates you make on your end will update on Canvas.
Correct. Which makes it super awesome. Same thing with like if you're using a Padlet, if I change this Padlet and I move all this around, it will still show up live in that embed. So the embed code just kind of directs the website to mirror whatever I've done here. So that's pretty much the case with any of those things. And we're working on how to make all of the recordings available.
Just because you have Padlet pulled up, where on Padlet did you go to find the easy link? Oh, just the share, right? And there's an
Yeah.
embed option there.
Yeah, so pretty much a lot of the programs that you would try to embed, they have a universal language. So a lot of them are using this 3 dots for more. A lot of them are using share, and then that's where they're keeping all of that. So copy, link to the, and then these are the same icons pretty much for embed universally. So if you see that somewhere, it's a different program. Most likely that's what you want. This one actually offers different ways of embedding. So you can try and toggle each one of them. And one thing I did want to note for those of you still hanging out, you can do all of this with no fear in Canvas because I try to say this in every one of my sessions and I just kind of forgot in this one. So up here, these 3 dots, it has this view page history. So if I say, oh, what did I do? I want to undo it all. You totally can, man. So you just click on your last version history. Oh, I didn't save it for a long time, so it's not going to let me do it. But generally speaking, you can undo anything. The only reason it's not letting me do it is because the other version is blank. And so it's trying to keep me from trying to do something going back to blank. But if you make a whole bunch of edits, then you can
Click
go
on the 3
back.
dots, right?
Yeah. And even if you go back in history and you don't like the version that you went back to, you can go back to a different version and then go back to the one that you didn't like in the first. You can go back and forth just like in a Google Doc, which I think is silly, but it's also fun. I think people are more or less trickling out.
Yeah. I'm going to end our poll now, Christina.
Did our poll not end?
We never ended it.
Oh man. In the
Or this
middle
is a-
though.
I think this is a Zoom question and that's not what you're doing, but how did you do a poll?
Magic.
Suzanne, I meant?
No. So all the stuff in BSD are supposed to have pro Zoom accounts. And
Okay.
so in order to access the polling feature, this is what I've found. So you have to, in order to engage your Pro Zoom account, you have to go to the web-based version Pro Zoom, not the one that's on the bottom of your toolbar. And then you have to sign in. I'm going to try to sign out of this in case it's just the thing. And so you have to sign in. When you sign in, don't do this one. You have to sign in with the SSO.
Single sign-on.
Yeah.
I got you. I got you, McGill.
You have to type in Beaverton K-12, no dots, no US, just Beaverton K-12.
Oh, what?
Megan,
And then,
just message me. I'll help you.
and then you're in. And then over here, you want to make sure that under your profile,
I
all
mean,
the way to
it should be on. I mean, definitely show them, but it should be on by default for the entire district. Hopefully. I don't know.
in case you don't see it, I'm just saying, you can sign out of
Yeah.
all devices. And then when you do that, if you sign back in, next to your login, it should show that you have that SSO. And then under your settings, you should be able to see, and also the way you can verify whether or not you are in the pro. If I go back to my profile, this is the way staff have been telling me they've been identifying is under your picture right here.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying basic, it'll say licensed. So it'll say licensed. And then under settings, what I do, because there's too many settings, I say find, and then I look for polls, and it shows me exactly where polls are. And if I have the ability to toggle it, then I'm into pro. What I've discovered is if I try to launch my meetings from the app on the toolbar, then I don't see polls. If I launch my meetings from the Chrome web browser or the web browser version, then I do.
I had to, Christine, I had to remove my Zoom on my computer and then re-add it into my computer and then log in, and then the polling showed up on the actual application on my computer.
See, and I tried to go through
Just like
self-service and
you,
reinstall.
I was struggling too. It didn't work for me for
but,
like, I don't know, 10 days, but it did work finally.
Yeah. So, and I've been just playing with it to try to do polling for these things. Just to, I always play with stuff when I learn about how to do them. So there is that, and hopefully that would help.
Thank you.
No worries.
I got you.
So I'm gonna close this meeting down. If